Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, we have a jam-packed show of predictions for multiple awards all this weekend.
And we're recording this on Wednesday, but as you're watching or listening, it's Thursday, first day of Oscar voting.
Who are you going to vote for if you're watching? Let us know.
If you're a voter.
We have many voters watching, I feel like, Joyce.
Do we though?
Maybe two.
Do we?
How many is many? If I said many, is that like five, would you
Well,
say?
how many total viewers do we have? Like
Thousands.
thousands?
Yes.
How many of them is just you rewatching the video over and over
I
again?
mean, a lot of it is me pulling a Marty, being like, that's great. Look at that. That was a great point. Way
Brand
to go,
new,
Joyce.
totally brand new. Never seen it before.
Way to go, Joyce. I don't even remember that. What a great point. Joyce, we're going to start with the SAG Awards, film and TV. So get your predictions ready. You can follow along at home.
They're on Saturday on Netflix, streaming on Netflix.
Can't wait. Love a Netflix. Love not having to find out where it is. Just put on Netflix.
Well, I mean, I do miss it on TNT/TBS, especially, tuning in for the last couple of minutes of like The Help
Sure.
before the SAG Awards start. Those were the days.
I'm excited to watch it. Can't wait.
Will it go over 2 hours?
I don't think so. Will it go under 2 hours? Would be my.
I mean, it definitely could.
It was 2 hours with commercials built in.
Yeah.
So it should be
This is
under.
why they can totally add a limited series ensemble category now.
I mean, maybe they will.
Or maybe like the Barbra Streisand tribute, the Life Achievement Award will take like 30 minutes,
Who's announcing that? I know they did they announce that yet?
I mean, I don't know when the embargo date is up.
It's today.
I mean, I know who it is, but
we know
I don't
who
know.
it is.
Yeah.
We could say it because we're not. If you're watching this now, it was under embargo, but we're recording this on Wednesday and it's already out there. Jennifer Aniston. Wow,
Yes.
what a great! I can't wait.
What a choice.
Cannot wait.
She's gonna be there anyway.
Yeah,
so.
sure. Joyce, we're gonna start. This is I'm gonna say overview on this. Not a lot of. I'm personally not a lot of intrigue here, but I am curious about the ensemble category here for film. I guess we'll start there and go down like normal. Again, the nominees for film ensemble this year at the SAG Awards were American Fiction, Barbie, The Color Purple, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Oppenheimer. And I have Oppenheimer winning, Joyce.
Same.
Who do you have in second?
American Fiction, as I've always had.
Same. This is the only one I'm like, I mean, maybe there's an upset, I guess. I think if American Fiction wins this, that would go to like a long way towards people being like, hey, it's a real option as a number 2 film behind Oppenheimer. But I just don't see it actually winning.
Well, as we've already discussed, there's a lot of options for number 2. Like there's no solid number 2.
This would make American Fiction more solid, but still maybe not as solid as some other movies that aren't even here. So who knows?
No. And yeah, and I mean, Oppie can definitely lose. But I don't know how, like, I don't think that would really hurt it that much in the grand scheme of things.
I think there's the people who are anti-Oppie or tired of Oppie steamrolling are hoping for an upset here and then hoping that film gets like the coda boost from the SAG Ensemble win. But unless it's American Fiction or Barbie, I don't even think it matters. Even if those are the movies, I don't think there's enough momentum behind them to suggest that they would beat Oppenheimer.
No, and I mean, I know people have been making the spotlight comp with American Fiction, especially since it won screenplay at BAFTA. So I mean, I think that's winning that at the Oscars, obviously, but I don't know if it's like it's not really a spotlight because it doesn't have a director nomination, or even editing. And yeah, you can say it's more like Coda then because it's like surging late, but Oppie is also not Power of the Dog, so
I feel like the problem,
they're imperfect comps. So
yeah, I feel like the problem with those comps, certainly that's in like, to me at least, tell me if you remember this differently. To me, Spotlight had way more momentum and was more seriously considered as like a best picture option than American Fiction at this point.
Yes, for sure. Like it was always top 3 and it was a 3-way race that year too, with Revenant late. And then, Big Short winning PGA.
And
so
Oppie stronger than those 2 movies.
Yes.
And with
not
Coda,
divisive, really.
yes. And then with Coda, huge amount of enthusiasm for the movie, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. Whereas American Fiction, I think, is very well liked. Certainly, we liked it a lot, but I don't know if that the oh my god enthusiasm is there for it as it was for Coda.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because the thing with Coda is like once people discovered it, like voters discovered it in phase two, all you heard about was like, oh, I cried. Like Javier Bardem at the luncheon was like weeping. He wept over Coda. I don't know if American Fiction inspires that same type of reaction. Like I think people do really like it a lot, but it's a different type of movie. And like, yeah, there are, some emotional scenes in it, but not in the same way as Coda's emotional scenes. And again, like Power of the Dog was fading and not emotional. And it's a lot more cold than Oppenheimer, even though that's been a dig at Oppenheimer by the Oppie haters.
I also think that like people were industry wide. It felt like there was never a real embrace of, maybe I'm misremembering this again. It was never a real embrace of Power of the Dog or enthusiasm for it. And people were just kind of waiting to find something else that they liked. And Oppenheimer, I feel like, is not like that at all. People have loved the movie since July and are now like, some people are like, I'm tired of it winning. We got to find something else.
I feel like Power of the Dog is more, or like Killers of the Flower Moon is more like Power of the Dog.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But without that guaranteed win.
Yeah. So we're both going Oppenheimer here. If there's a sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, I know a lot of people think Barbie can win this, especially after the snubs.
It could happen. I think if it did happen, it would be like Black Panther winning this.
Mm-hmm.
And that means nothing basically in the grand scheme of the awards. It's best picture chances, but
That will set it up to win 3 Oscars, just like Black Panther.
I still don't think that's gonna happen though. But I do think it could win this, certainly. I have it in third.
Yeah, like I understand that, and I can see it being runner up too. Like obviously we'll never know. Because it is like I mean, if you're talking about like the biggest movie, that is the biggest movie, right? Like money wise too. And yeah, it has, populist appeal and everything. So especially with like the AFTRA portion voting too, like the AFTRA portion outnumbers the SAG portion.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know like how many people are just gonna be like, Barbie was snubbed at the Oscars in these categories, so I must avenge them at the SAG Awards.
I don't think they're going to think that. I think they're more going to think, I've worked with all these people in Barbie a lot, because they are all like actors who have been working in a lot of different facets. And they could also be like that with Oppenheimer, though. So that's why I'm like, I think Oppenheimer is going to still win.
What about The Color Purple?
I think there's hope for it for a lot of people who enjoyed the movie, but I think that ship has long sailed.
I actually have that in fourth, so I have Killers in fifth.
I have Killers in fourth and Color Purple in fifth. Though technically, like we had said, all the people that you loved in Killers are actually not nominated for a SAG Award.
I don't think they know that.
They don't know that, but
I just think like Color Purple is more in line with 160,000 SAG-AFTRA members and what they might gravitate towards.
Yeah, certainly feels like something they would enjoy more than the Kills of the Flower Moon. Not to besmirch the members of SAG-AFTRA. Best Film Actress choice. This one I feel like a lot of people are going to be split on, like they have been everywhere else. To recap, the nominees are Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Carey Mulligan, Margot Robbie, and Emma Stone. And I have Emma Stone winning for Poor Things.
You already spoiled that the other night.
I did.
Yeah, Emma.
Here again, I think a lot of people are going to be pulling for Lily Gladstone. And if she were to win, that would be great.
So I still have her in second, but I'm also like, what if she's not in second? What if it's like Annette or Margot? Like you could make serious cases for both of them being next in line.
In terms of SAG, yes, I would say Annette actually maybe is even in second there. I mean, if you look at, like, we did this, I think I did this recently where we went like this in the history of SAG here, like the winners of SAG best actress. Tell me which of, like, none of these are like the Lily, like none of these are like Lily at all. So like the performances, you know what I mean? Like it's like Michelle Yeoh, Jessica Chastain, Viola Davis, Renee, Glenn Close, Frances McDormand, Emma Stone, Brie Larson, Julianne Moore. All of these performances that they're winning for are much more like Emma or Annette or Margot than Lily's, I guess, in terms of screen time, in terms of the inward nature of Lily's performance versus these other performances.
Well, I mean, Viola in Ma Rainey didn't have a lot of screen time either, but that's a showier performance.
That's what I mean.
So then Lily's. I mean, actually both of Viola's wins, they're for, people still debate whether she's lead or supporting, like even with the help.
Right.
So, but she's also the queen of SAG.
And not in turn, like the performances are just way different. That's what I would mean.
Yeah, and I do think like the argument for Lily is like SAG loves a narrative and they're the most socially conscious group, but I also do think like when you're talking about 160,000 people voting, I mean probably a little less if you have to be, some in good standing to vote. But it's still a shit ton of people, like it's the largest group. I'm like, I do think like people are just gonna vote for what they have seen and liked, and more so than just a narrative itself. Like I think the narrative can be part of it, but you also still have to like what you see.
Mhm.
Like I don't think Michelle Yeoh won last year purely because of narrative. That was probably like third or fourth in terms of why she won.
Yes.
She just had a strong ass movie.
I think the
And
problem, yeah, I think last year, like we've talked about this in terms of narrative, it's an insult to suggest she only beat
it's an
Kate
insult to
Blanchett
both of them.
because of
Like,
narrative. And the fact that she was in the, I think the biggest thing beside like, if you separate the performance from what we're talking about, because like we always say, like performance is like subjective, right? So like, who's going to say who's better? The thing that Michelle had going for her that no one else had was that she was in the movie everyone loved,
mhm.
and she's the lead of that movie. And so then of course she was going to win. And we might mention this again when we're talking about a best actor in a moment. But I feel like this, for if Lily was in, if The Killers of the Flower Moon was like Oppenheimer or even Poor Things, I think Lily would win. But it's not as embraced, I don't believe, as the like Poor Things or even Barbie or maybe even Nyad, at least among this group.
I mean, the film has just lost so much momentum since she won the Globe.
Yeah.
It's like it's actually kind of crazy to think about it in retrospect, because I don't think like we all, I mean, I think the moment we realized that, or I guess it was like two moments. It's like, she was snubbed at BAFTA, but then you could just write it off as like, oh, it's the jury. But like, no, that still told us like she wasn't top three,
Right.
when most of us assumed that she would have been top three and guaranteed a nomination. And then, the screenplay missed there, and then Oscar nominations, screenplay missed there, and then like, Leo was already on the outs and was out. Um, but like if you think about it, like its momentum was stalling way before that, because Leo already missed SAG, which the nominations, which were 3 days after the Globes. But then people are just like, oh, like whatever. And like some people don't like Leo's performance anyway. And BAFTA voting closed 2 days after that, but we just didn't know it yet because they didn't announce the nominations. And then 2 days after that was Critics' Choice, and Lily lost there to Emma. But then you could just be like, oh, that's just Critics' Choice. It doesn't matter. It's not the industry. So I feel like the momentum for it was dying like way before we publicly knew about it.
The thing with the Critics' Choice Award where I felt like that was a bad sign to me is that, and we've talked about this, how like if people want to compare it to last year, Lily is actually a better comp to Kate in terms of like what she won with critics, right? Not as many things as Kate did, but like certainly was like a major factor at all these major critics groups. Uh, but that she didn't win Critics' Choice when they all like loved like the Killers of Flower Moon enthusiasm, and early from like October or even September, October to like the end of the year was largely driven by the top critics, right? Like all of these groups and all of the critics were like, this is the movie, incredible
I mean, like even
performance.
since Cannes, so
And then when she loses Critics' Choice Awards, where all these people are ostensibly voting, I know it's a much bigger group, not like as
I mean, like
exclusive as like,
not all of those same people are voting there.
no, but a lot of them are. I'm just like, wow, that was a wild,
I mean, a lot of film Twitter was.
right.
So, and a lot of film Twitter loves her. So,
I,
yeah.
that said, like we said, if Lily wins here during like this is the thing with SAG, I think that like you can't underrate is like if she wins here in the middle of voting, gives a great speech, that is a new round of momentum. That would be a great time for her to like pull it off a win here and like get back into the conversation, right? I think.
I mean, she's not out of the conversation. I just feel like she is, or like Emma's just pulling away
Right.
from her. And I don't even know, like, even if she wins this, like Emma could still just win the Oscar without SAG, you know? It's like
She could. I'm just saying, I think that this would go a long way to at least making it like right now, I'm like,
it'll give her supporters hope.
it'll give her supporters hope, and it would make me at least give this more thought, like another minute of thought when I'm making my final Oscar picks. Because right now I feel like I'd just be all in on for Emma and not really.
What if it's neither of them? Would you go with Margot or Annette?
I would go with Annette if it's neither of them. I think she would be the obvious one there.
Yeah. And then what would you think would be happening at the Oscars then? Do you think
Emma
Annette?
then. I think
Yeah,
no,
I
and
think like
Emma.
if it's Annette or Margot, Emma would still win the Oscar. I
Yeah.
mean, like Margot for sure.
Margot just feels like Tom Cruise to me from last year, like we talked about. You know what I mean? Like it's like not a real. I don't think it's like people are really considering her to win. But
And
Annette,
not even because of the snubs or anything. Let's,
right?
yeah.
Annette, I feel like is would be a classic SAG winner because she's obviously like a beloved veteran in a transformative performance, playing a real person. It just feels like no
It's
kidding.
just, it's also wrong. Like she's fifth in the odds here, and I know she's fifth in the Oscar odds too. I'm like, she is higher than that. Because I just think I think she's fifth because like sure Nyad doesn't have a Best Picture nomination, but also because people just don't like Nyad. Like film Twitter does not like
I
Nyad. But people love Annette Bening. Like she has her supporters, and she has a whole demo to herself. Like I don't think she appeals to the same type of voters as her competitors do, you know?
right.
And especially if you're talking about SAG, you know, one of the things we've talked about before was like she was, you know, a huge help during the strikes.
Yes.
You know, she got that huge cover story over the summer, in the Hollywood Reporter, talking about her work, you know, with like the actress one or whatever it's called now. So, I mean, like, and people, you know, like struggling actors, like, could be incredibly grateful, you know, to her for that. And so I think she's higher than fifth, but I know she's fifth here and at the Oscars. I have Carey Mulligan in fifth, and I feel like no one ever talks about her anymore.
I have her in fifth. I have Annette in third and Margot in fourth. So
Yeah. I mean, Carey, you know, just thanks for playing.
based on her applause at the BAFTA Awards, I think she knows it too.
That was like Nicole Kidman's Clap's cousin.
For film actor, Joyce, I might have spoiled this, but I have the nominees just to recap were Bradley Cooper, Colin Domingo, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy, and Jeffrey Wright, and I have Cillian Murphy winning for Oppenheimer.
Same. Um, but this is similar to actors, as we know. A lot of people will be going for Paul.
Now, this actually maybe is in a better comp to Cate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh than the actress race. I just feel like because Killing like the movie is the biggest movie. You know what I mean? Like I'm like we've talked about this a lot, but like he has got the biggest movie, the most embraced movie, playing the lead character. It is also a biopic, And Paul Giamatti, God bless him, is basically what people think of Paul Giamatti is the Holdovers character, right? Like, I mean, it's not like he's not like stretching the bounds of the disbelief, let's say. So I just think like Killian's gonna win. Just like Michelle, like again, like Michelle, like last year, like fronting the best picture front runner, like of course she's going to win and build this momentum, especially once kind of like you get to hear it SAG. So anyway, that's what I got.
And like Michelle also didn't even have BAFTA.
Right.
So and yeah, I think that like I mean not to go back to Best Actress, but Michelle got the BAFTA nomination. Lily did not either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like Oppie is big and strong, and I mean like it's Killian's performance is a great performance, and like you said, he dominates the movie. Um and I understand the thinking for Paul, and he can absolutely win. Um and yes, he has 4 SAGs and 3 of them individual. But he also hasn't won in a while, and he hasn't won since the merger. Like all of his wins were before the merger.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how or if that changes things for him, like with the influx of AFTRA voters too. Like I feel like he might have more of an advantage if it were just SAG. Maybe.
I think that's true. And I think it's again, the comps year over year is always tricky because I'm like, The Holdovers is also a really watchable movie that we know people like, and it's easy to watch, and it's a movie you could just put on and watch, and it's not like a heavy lift. And I think that will help him with like my impression of what AFTRA members are like. I think it's like, oh, it's easy to throw on The Holdovers and enjoy it. And it's very down the middle. And so if he won, I definitely would not be surprised, like you said. And I think you could easily win. I still would have Killian winning at the Oscars, even if Paul won this. But I just think in the end, the strength and the size of Oppenheimer will overwhelm the Holdovers here. And that's why I think Killian will win.
I also it's funny to me how people make it sound like Paul Giamatti is like 80 something years old. Like yes, he's a veteran, but like the way people talk about him in terms of this race, it's like he's in his 80s, like it's like Christopher Plummer style when he was like finally gonna win for beginners. It's like, no, he's 56. Like that's still pretty young, and like he's only 9 years older than Killian. And like I said the other night, I don't think like their profiles are that dissimilar. Like, I mean, you could throw Jeffrey Wright in there too. Like, it's the same type of thing. Like these are all, and like even Coleman Domingo, right? Like these guys have been around the block for decades,
Yes. I
right?
I think it behooves the Giamatti contingent to suggest that he's due, to
Mhm.
suggest that he's older than he is, and to suggest that it's his
He's
time.
he's 2 years older than Coleman.
But the problem is, in reality, Coleman Domingo and Jeffrey Wright all have, and Giamatti basically all have
Yeah.
the
And
same
and Jeffrey
narrative.
is older than Paul.
They basically have the same narrative. They've all never been nominated for best act. I mean, at least at the Oscars for best actor, and like they're all like beloved people who have worked with dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of actors, right? Like everyone loves these guys. They've worked in all kinds of big movies with all kinds of different people. They're like real actors. And so, yeah, like Giamatti is maybe in the movie that people have embraced more widely, though I would say like here, at least Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction would even have a better, maybe have more of a stake to that claim. I just don't think there's enough separate. Like Brendan Fraser was the comeback guy last year. He had that, right? Like that was in this race. Like he had that narrative, and none of these guys can cop to that, nor would need to cop to that.
Yeah, and like last year too, I don't know if anyone else was like him, right? Like you had Austin, obviously younger and you know, not really established in the awards realm either, right? Like
Mhm.
he had, I mean, like he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I feel like not a lot of people realized that last year.
No,
I've come to learn.
yes,
And then Colin, I guess like that's the most similar or like closest to Brendan. Like they're probably yeah, like the age range separation is probably the same like between like Killian and Paul as with them, but like I think like we all knew Colin was not winning, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And
Colin
then
was
like
more like, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yeah, and then Bill Nye, you know, great nomination, but like we knew it was, and then Adam Sandler here last year, like no.
I mean, I get the sense, like, again, like a lot of these guys want, a lot of the Giamatti stands want Giamatti to be like Bill Nye, but Bill Nye is like much older, seemingly, and more
Bill
been
Nye
around
is
the
in his
block slightly more.
70s.
So,
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at this group, like this year's group, Paul is the winningest person here, basically,
mhm,
because he has 4 SAGs, he has an Emmy, he has 3 Globes, right?
mhm,
So like Jeffrey has a Tony and an Emmy, right? So Coleman has an Emmy, Bradley has a Grammy.
mhm.
Um, and Killian um has never really won stuff until now for Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
Like he never won anything for Peaky Blinders. Um, so it's like
yeah,
this is like a great time for those guys. Like they've a lot of, most of them have done I mean, I think they've done their share of like lead and supporting performances, right? And this is
yes.
like them getting their recognition now, like big time, but especially with the Oscars, as opposed to someone like Bradley, who's accrued 12 nominations in the past decade.
The other thing with Killian, and like you're mentioning here, and we think of SAG, it's like, just again, not to stereotype and besmirch the whole group, but it feels like more basic, like a more mainstream kind of group, right? Like that, you would argue their like tastes are going to be more mainstream.
Yes.
And Peaky Blinders is like a massive
It's
show.
a huge show. That's one thing I've also learned about this season. Oh, like I've had like real conversations. It's not just like observations like on Twitter or something, but like conversations with people in real life. Like they do not understand how huge Peaky Blinders was.
Even and among normies, we mean it's
Yeah.
huge. Like regular people, I know
But
regular
also it
people.
has famous people like Margot Robbie. She was standing the shit of Peaky Blinders and they're actors on actors.
And
Like Snoop Dogg is a huge Peaky
yeah,
fan.
and so to me, I'm like, that actually lends more credence to Killian winning here, because while Paul is a beloved, like you said, like before them, like 4 SAGs, like a massive
I'm sure there
star.
are a lot of billion stands in SAG-AFTRA.
There are, but it's definitely like on the Billions is like this, and Peaky Blinders is like this, especially over the last like 3 or 4 years. And I think that's another reason why Killian would kind of win. Like, there's a lot of different there's a lot of different reasons to like say he would win beyond just the performance and the movie size. Whereas Paul maybe is playing catch up because he's not as Billions is like lost the cultural cachet maybe, or at least the like that kind of thing over the last few years. So I I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
like, again, if he won, all this being said, like if Paul Giamatti won, I would not necessarily be completely shocked, and I would
No,
say
it would not be
great.
surprising at all.
But I just don't think right now these are the reasons why I think Killian will win. And it's kind of like Emma, like Lily and Paul could easily win these categories. They have like the narrative, or again, accepting that the performances are all great and they're like kind of like you're going to be subjective, but they have the narrative, they have the reasons, and all these things. And if they won, that would be great, and it would definitely make the Oscars much more interesting here, because I think
Yeah.
there would be real debate going into the Oscars in these two categories.
I think that's part of it. Like people don't want these categories to be settled. And like we've been lucky the past couple years, like the past 3 years really, to have an acting category, at least one, be, up in the air, or like in the end we have like a surprise. So I think people want that. And like sure, like I want that too, but I'm also a realist.
Yeah, it's tough to like,
Yeah.
me. I love coming up with like crazy crackpot reasons why these people are going to win. And even this year, I'm having a hard time like making the case. So
So I obviously have Killian and Paul 1, 2. I have Jeffrey in third, and I know Bradley is third.
I also have Jeffrey in third, because I think America, like we were just saying before, I think
It
American Fiction will
overperformed.
win
Yeah.
ensemble. And so I think Jeffrey would be in third. I have Coleman in fifth. I'd almost put Bradley in fifth though, but
I was thinking about doing that right now. And
so
it
I
was just
might,
like my
I'm going to
same
do it.
reasoning about like having Color
Carrying
Purple
fifth.
over
Yeah.
Killers and Ensemble. I'm like, I can see Coleman polling more votes than
Me too.
Bradley.
Me too.
And I get why Bradley's in third, but I feel like that's also just kind of ignoring the reception to Maestro, and you're just kind of clinging on to, oh, it's a biopic transformative role, but it's like there is just not passion behind that performance or that movie, really, and especially among normies, which is like a lot of SAG-AFTRA, you know? Like I
Yeah,
think they would enjoy Coleman and Rustin more.
yeah, like I think we've talked about this. I think the overwhelming negative Oscar villain response to Maestro on Twitter was way overblown. And I think obviously the industry certainly enjoys the movie more than that group on film Twitter. That said, I feel like SAG-AFTRA is closer to the film Twitter normie kind of ideal and would not enjoy the movie because we've said, like, in real people who have tried to watch it have not been impressed.
I mean, you remember my friend's dad's review, so
Yes, I do. Very well. Next two categories, I feel like we'll be able to do much quicker. Supporting actress, Joyce, just to recap, the nominees here were Emily Blunt, Danielle Brooks, Penelope Cruz, Jodie Foster, and Devon Joy Randolph. And I have Devon Joy Randolph winning.
yes. Who do you have in second?
I have Emily in second and Jodie in third.
Same.
I'm going bigger on Nyad, obviously, because I think the SAG membership will like it.
And also Jodie's great, and I had.
She is.
So
no doubt, Divine winning has got to be
Wait.
the biggest lock.
the biggest. Yeah, she's gonna have won. I mean, it doesn't even matter who wins the other categories, the acting categories, like she will have won the most awards this season of the actors.
A completely unanswerable question. So that being said, if Lily Gladstone had decided that she wanted to be supporting actress for this Kills the Flower Moon, before the season, everyone was like, she's going to win Best Supporting Actress, no doubt. Lily decided to run for lead. We've talked about this a lot. No reason to rehash that. I think that was a fine decision, right? Like whether she wins or loses, it was her
She can do
decision.
whatever she wants.
She
Yeah,
do
it's
whatever
her
she wants. That said, if she had stayed in supporting, do you think? I don't think it would have been as like I think Divine would have maybe still won. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was easier a couple months ago to be like, oh, Lily would have swept supporting.
Mm-hmm.
But now with how things have turned out for Killers, I would say maybe not. Like I feel like yeah, I don't think okay. So obviously Davine would not have just stomped over critics like she did. I think they probably would have split critics. Right. And remember, LA also put Lily in supporting and got film Twitter all riled up.
Yes.
And she was runner up, not even a win. It was runner up.
Yes. Another maybe canary in the coal mine.
So yeah, I think they probably would have split critics, and then with televised, like I can still see like Davine winning. Like maybe they would have like split stuff there. Like the fact that Lily lost Critics' Choice to Emma already like tells me like she probably would have lost Critics' Choice to Davine in supporting too. So
it definitely would have been it would have definitely been a very interesting, very competitive category. And I think if you ask people this question, like even a month ago, they would have said, oh, she would have still won. But I think Divine like really would have been very competitive. Like you said, I think she would have won at least one or two of the televised awards already, maybe all of them. And we'd have similar conversations now that we're having about Emma and Lily or Paul and Killian. We'd have here.
Like I think
Divine
like what happened to Killers would have still happened to Killers.
Yeah.
And
And
the momentum stalling.
I just think it's interesting to think about because I've seen people be like, oh, she would have easily if Lily. I saw this the other day.
I mean,
like,
that's been happening since she went lead. So,
but like even now, people like as it's kind of like as the dream is maybe falling away, right? Or as Emma's like setting herself up to win, and it's becoming more clear that she is a favorite to a lot of people. I did see on Twitter people being like, oh, if Lily had won, if she had stayed in support, she would have won. And I'm like, I actually don't know if that's true. I really don't.
Yeah, just with the way things have turned out, especially in the last month. You know, I mean, I know like after the Globe, like it really did feel like to me, and I'm sure to a lot of people, that Lily could just sweep and go
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah, me. I said
You
that
know,
probably.
yeah, like I said that too, like after the Globes. And like she could have been like the Jane Campion of killers,
Hmm.
right? Like the movie's
Yes.
fading, but you're hanging on.
Yeah, it always felt like she was going to be the only win no matter what.
Yeah.
And it did feel like she would be the win, right? I really felt that after the Globes. If she would have won Critics' Choice Awards, I still maybe wouldn't have thought that. I know that's crazy because it doesn't matter,
Yeah,
but
but I don't think ultimately now, I mean, I guess it's easy to say now, like 2020, but like I don't think it ultimately matters whether she won that or not. I think now it's just kind of easier to say that like, oh, the like, Killers was crashing, right? But it's still like it's still not an industry award. And then we just saw a couple days later how the industry felt about the movie,
right.
but I do think if she had won that, it would be like Paul, basically. Like it's like she has another win in her ledger, so people can latch on to that
Hmm.
as
Pretty
another W instead of an L,
right.
But it's also it's I was thinking about this too, like how we never had this conversation really last year about Michelle Williams, because it was just everyone just basically accepted that like, oh, she would have won supporting for the Fabelmans had she stayed there, because that category ended up becoming so chaotic. And then Jamie Lee Curtis won, and that win is not very much embraced online,
It,
you
it
know.
isn't really. If people didn't think she should
Yeah,
win for
breaking
that,
news. You didn't know that?
here's the thing I'll
So, and
say.
then like, Michelle Williams wasn't ever really competitive in Best Actress.
it- Here's the thing I'll say about that. Thinking about this too, I almost think Jamie Lee would have still won because the industry did not seemingly really enjoy the Fablemans. It did not. It was not widely embraced. So while I think it's easy to sit here and be like Michelle Williams threw away her Oscar, um, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think Jamie Lee would have maybe still won. I think you can make the case Michelle would have won.
I think the difference is like the critics portion of the season would have been different, because we're
Yes.
talking like the way we're talking about like Davine and Lily, they would have probably split that, right? Whereas Michelle probably would have been like Davine and probably would have dominated critics awards.
Maybe, but I mean, like, I
So
bet you Carrie Condon would have still done really well.
she probably would have still won like New York,
Yeah.
So
I just
uh,
think that's funny. I'm like, oh man.
yeah,
Like,
but like no, there was like yeah, it's because she wasn't competitive in lead, like she was at best third. Right. So then everyone was just like, oh, she would have definitely won in supporting.
I the one thing I've like learned doing like thinking about this and talking about this is like it does matter if the movie is like liked. If the movie needs to be liked for your performance to maybe or at least like accepted for you actually win. If you're on like a tweener, if you're in a tight race, I think the quality of the movie or the embrace of the movie does matter a lot more than maybe people want to think.
Yeah. Yeah, it also depends on like the visibility of the film too. I mean, I think like Fableman's like had a lot of visibility because it's, Spielberg, like auto fiction anyway. But like I mean, like Everything Everywhere was just a beast
Yeah, people love.
last
I
year.
mean, like in the
So
end, they love the movie, right? Like that mattered. That people love the movie. Coda similarly, right? People love the movie. And Fablemans, I don't think people love the movie. I loved it. I think it's great. But I know people,
I
even
I
Spielberg
I
fans,
loved it a
don't.
lot last,
Yeah,
like, and I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did.
yeah. I know even a
So
lot of Spielberg fans were like, that sucked. So, to each their own. Supporting actor choice. This one again, pretty easy. Nominees were Willem Dafoe. Oh, Sterling K. Brown, Willem Dafoe, Robert De Niro, Robert Downey Jr., and Ryan Gosling. And I have Robert Downey Jr. winning.
congratulations to him.
Looking forward to his speech.
Has he laminated it yet?
Probably.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not even getting nothing else to say about that one. I'm just moving on. I mean, he's great. We love Robert Downey Jr. There's nobody else. I think it's as uncompetitive as
Do,
supporting actress. So
do you have Ryan or Sterling in
I have
second?
Ryan in second. I still think like
Same.
he's the best alternate and like is happy to be a bridesmaid to Downey for the whole season,
He knows he's going to be a bridesmaid.
which is great.
Yeah.
And then stunt ensemble, Joyce. These were a fun category. The nominees here to recap were Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy, Indiana Jones, John Wick, and Mission Impossible. And I have John Wick, Chapter 4.
I do too.
I mean, pretty great stunts. Not the biggest fan of the movie, but love the stunts.
Yeah. I have Mission Impossible in second. It's not really like that stunty.
No, I have Barbie in fourth.
Me too. I have Guardians in third.
Me too.
Yeah.
Uh, there you go. So that's SAG for film. So we'll see if it's possible we get three wrong here. If like American Fiction wins and Killian loses and Emma loses, that'd be great. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think people are also hesitant to predict the BAFTA winners for SAG.
Well, if you'll recall, that was why I picked Emily Blunt to win at BAFTA over Divine, because I was like, what are the odds all of these same four actors are just going to keep winning everything? And I'm like,
But
actually,
like
very
why
high.
not? Like it's happened before.
I think last year maybe clouds are judging, but you're right. Like it happens a lot.
I think last year, yeah, it's weird to me like everyone just keeps citing last year. Like I feel like they just need that to rationalize their biases, right? Like their
Mhm.
personal favorites and whoever they're rooting for. Like people are acting like last year is the only year of history we have
I,
of BAFTA and the Oscars
we,
and
I
SAG or something, you know?
not
But
not
again,
the
like 3 years ago, BAFTA went 8 for 8.
not the first person to say this, but I feel like if we talked about this in terms of like the 2020 2024 comparisons. With 2020 here, we had a sweep in all these main categories, in the acting categories, the whole way, right? Pitt,
Yeah.
Dern, Zellweger, and Phoenix.
And
They
then
just
2 years
won
before that,
everything.
that was our first 2020 sweep with Francis and Gary and Allison and Sam.
And this
So
is starting to feel like that to me. It just is, where it's like these are
well,
the
it can't be
winners.
2020 because Killian lost
Right.
Critics' Choice. It could be like 9 years ago when they went 19 for 20 because Eddie Redmayne lost Critics' Choice to Michael
Right.
Keaton, who is
Right.
basically like Paul Giamatti
Right.
here, but like he wasn't the Best Picture winner.
All right, Joyce. To television. We're still doing that. SAG TV. Excited?
It's just gonna be the same 3 shows again.
Yes. Spoiler alert, but yes. For a drama ensemble to recap The Crown, The Gilded Age, The Last of Us, The Morning Show, and Succession, I have Succession winning.
This is their last stop.
Who will be there to accept? Not Sarah.
Not Sarah, she's doing Dorian Gray.
She's playing 85 roles in Dorian Gray.
Yeah, not Jeremy. Like Kieran did an interview with Rolling Stone last month and he talked about this
He
and
said it's sad that the Emmys was like the last one that everybody's going to be
yeah, and
together.
that's why he embraced Sarah for so long when she left the HBO party. So, I imagine eldest son will be there because he lives there,
Yeah. I
in
think
LA.
Alan Ruck,
I yeah, Matthew, I think can see because he's also individually nominated.
Matthew and Kieran, I think will be there.
Yeah, they also did the SAG panel. Did you watch that panel?
Yeah, I saw it.
It's great, great
Pedro
stuff.
Pascal looking like the Zodiac killer. I saw it.
Yeah, great reactions, but also just great running gags the whole way because Pedro was trying to nag on Succession, being like they should be disqualified because they don't like really rehearse, they just let it fly. So then he kept telling because Kieran was telling a story about how in the pilot, Adam McKay just, they had extra film or like they still had enough film to roll. So he was just like, okay, just shoot like Tom and Greg in the baseball field. And that was the first take, what you see in the pilot. And Pedro was like, see, Billy, it's not fair. Disqualified. They should be disqualified.
I feel like it'll be Ruck, Tom, Matthew McFadden, Kieran, Nick Braun, and maybe like Jay.
Yeah, Jay would go. Arian, I guess. I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Frank and Carl, Peter
Not
Dave.
Jeremy, not Brian, not Sarah.
No, I mean, Brian won last time. So,
This is another reason why this show is going to be short, because they're not going to have an acceptance speech for Sarah because she's away.
but Kieran can accept for her. It'll
That'd
be
be
good.
great. Anyway, I have Morning Show in second. How about you?
Same.
Okay. For Best TV Drama Actor, to recap, the nominees are Brian Cox, Billy Crudup, Kieran Culkin, Matthew McFadden and Pedro Pascal. And I have Kieran Culkin winning.
Same. I have Billy in second, and I know Pedro's in second.
I have Matthew in second.
I have Matthew in third.
I have Pedro in third, Billy in fourth, and Brian in fifth.
Yeah, like I know the Succession guys didn't win last time 2 years ago. It was Lee Jung-jae, but I don't think that's the same situation here.
We've
And
seen this is not a same situation.
it's not the same situation.
No,
The show is over.
and that's it. We're gonna give
Kieran just
Kieran
overcame the triple vote split at the Emmys when
no
so
doubt.
many people thought he wouldn't.
Yes.
So, but I have Billy in second because I think that it's a showier performance more so than Pedro's. And the morning show is more the type of show that they would embrace.
Yes, I understand that thinking. For drama actress choice, the nominees were Jennifer Aniston, giving out Barbara's Lifetime Achievement Award, and a nominee here for the morning show. Elizabeth Debicki, Bella Ramsey, Kerry Russell, and Sarah Snook, and I have Sarah Snook winning.
Same.
I feel like people are going to go perfect score here in the TV side of things.
I actually feel like a lot of people are trying to pick an upset in any of these, not just drama, but like any of these categories.
Don't do it. I'm just saying that. Don't do that if you want to have
like it could happen, but I think you should just like pick the obvious ones and then just take the L when it comes.
Yeah, these are. I mean, give me a break. Like Sarah Snook's gonna win this. I have no doubt.
I think it's because she didn't win last time 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She lost to Hoyen. But again, I don't think it's the same.
I think that it's the. I mean, if you were thinking of reasons why she would lose, I think the reason she's going to win is beyond the fact that it's performance. They obviously love the show. The industry has loved the show historically, and it's the last season, and so that's it, right? You know what I mean? Like that. That's just like a one and out, right? It doesn't matter that she lost previously or whatever. It's like that's it.
Yeah. I have Elizabeth in second.
Me too. The transformative process.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like is work.
I have Jen in third just because she's won before.
Right? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
For comedy ensemble choice, again, the nominees are Abbott, Barry, The Bear, Only Murders, and Ted Lasso, and I have The Bear.
Yes.
And then for comedy actor,
nothing else to say.
What are we gonna say? I mean, obviously it's gonna win. Like,
yeah, you know.
I did a SAG panel for Ted Lasso. The audience was very excited about it.
You can't even predict it.
And I can't even predict it.
I have Ted in second over defending champion Abbott Elementary, though.
I have Abbott in second, and I have Ted in third.
I want to put my beloved Barry higher, but I can't. So,
I think if the Bear lost, I would just be frankly just shocked. But I guess stranger things have happened.
Yeah, Stranger Things won. Remember that?
Yes. For TV comedy actor, nominees are Brett Goldstein, Bill Hader, Eben Moss-Bachrach, Jason Sudeikis, Jeremy Allen White. I have Jeremy Allen White winning.
Yes. I have my guy Bill in second. This is the perfect scenario for him to benefit from a double vote split, but I don't think that's happening because I think this is gonna be like the Bear guys will be like too far ahead. Like I think in reality, I think like Jeremy and Eben are probably 1-2.
Probably right.
But I'm just gonna put Bill in second.
For comedy actress, nominees are Alex Borstein, Rachel Brosnahan, Quinta Brunson, Io Debris, and Hannah Waddingham, and I have Io Debris winning.
Same.
I feel like she's also going to win because I am less convinced than ever before that she'll win all these awards next year when they get to the next cycle. Even though, even though season 2 is her better, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really see them going back to Rachel. I don't think Alex is gonna win. I don't think Hannah's gonna win. I don't think Quinta's gonna win. I know she won the Emmy, but
I have her in second because she won the Emmy, and I do think that matters a little, certainly. And there obviously is a light show, and especially for SAG-AFTRA, I think it's more embraced maybe than other places. Certainly how it's won before.
I mean, like, is it though? Like, it was predicted to get like 5 nominations last year, and it did not. And
But it
uh,
still won.
yeah, it won ensemble.
Yeah.
But I mean, remember people were predicting her to win this last year, and I was like, nope, it's Jean Smart.
Yeah. Well, Jean made more. Like I feel like Jean is always going to win these. Though maybe I had Quinta. I don't even remember what I had.
But I mean, it doesn't matter. It'll just be IO.
For TV, movie, limited series actor, nominees are Matt Bomer. Bomer or Bomber?
It's Bomer. You're just exposing yourself as never having watched White Collar.
No, never once.
Rude.
Bomer.
Yes.
Matt Bomer, John Hamm, David Oyelowo, Tony Shalhoub, and Stephen Yeun. And I have Stephen Yeun.
Yeah.
Who do you have in second?
I have my guy Tony Shalhoub for Mr. Monk's Last Case.
I have John Hamm and then Tony in third.
And then I have David in third just because Sam Elliott won last year.
Great. Wouldn't that be funny if that happens here? That was an upset in theory.
I think that's what people, are kind of hope dicting what happened this year instead of just a Succession bear and beef sweep like we've seen the past month everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I won't discount it, but I'm just gonna go with all the favorites here and not try to pick like the one category where I think this could happen.
Speaking of favorites, then, for actress in a limited series or a TV movie, the nominees are Uzo Aduba, Catherine Hahn, Brie Larson, Belle Powley, and Ali Wong. And I have Ali Wong.
Same.
I have Brie in second.
Same.
So if you had to pick an upset, to me, the only place there could be an upset in this between comedy, drama, and limited series is limited series, only because I feel like there might be winner fatigue in terms of beef, where people are just like, this is like, it's already won a lot. Why not? Kind of similar. Remember when I kept picking against Amanda Seyfried? And then she finally.
Well, but like, you weren't picking against her because she was winning a lot. You just thought she wasn't going to win.
Yes.
And then you picked her for SAG and she lost.
So thinking of that, right? Where it was like, and they ended up doing Jess Chastain, right? Didn't she win for? So I think there's a world where I can make the case that either John Hamm or Brie Larson win in their categories on account of being like the newer shows from like possible future Emmy nominees or top contenders for this year. I'm not going to predict it though. Like you said, I'm just going to go with the favorites, but I think this is the place where you would see a Sam Elliott-esque, like Jess Chastain-esque upset in quotes.
I think Steven is pretty safe. Like I wouldn't go with John Hamm just because like they've never really liked Fargo. And like Juno didn't even get in.
True.
Here. Like I think Brie probably has a better shot of pulling off the upset. But I also think like the group just really admires Jessica Chastain.
Yes. I think the other, like we were talking about, I think like that's exactly right. And they also think they really admire Ali Wong and Stephen Yeun, right? You know what I mean? Like it's like they're like really embraced performers.
So yeah. I guess like of all of these categories, I guess I would say like maybe that's the most ripe for an upset.
Yeah.
But
not
I'm not
it.
Gonna do that.
No.
So.
And then last SAG one before we move on. Stunt ensemble for TV. Ahsoka, Barry, Beef, Last of Us, and Mandalorian. I have Last of Us.
Same. It should be Barry though, but it won't be.
So those are our SAG picks, Joyce. Can't wait to see what's what on Saturday evening. On Netflix. Now we're going to be on Saturday.
After.
So we could bask in the glory of our picks or take the big L. I guess we'll find out. But we're not done yet, Joyce. We have to do the PGA Awards.
which is the next day, Sunday.
Many categories here, shockingly. We'll go through these as quick as possible. The ones you really care about, though, are here. Best Picture. To recap, the nominees are exactly the 10 that are nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
You're not even going to read them.
Sure, we can read them. American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, Holdovers, Kills of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, Past Lives, Maestro, Zone of Interest, and Oppenheimer, and I have an Oppenheimer win.
Yes. Who do you have in second?
Here I have Barbie. This is why.
Because I made money.
That's what the money's for, Joyce.
Yeah, I'm like debating because I have Barbie, like when I did this a month ago.
Yes.
And while I do think at the Oscars it's way lower than second, I think it could be as high as second at PGA.
Here's my top 5. Oppenheimer, Barbie, Holdovers, Poor Things, American Fiction.
Oh my God, that's my top 5.
I think Barbie there because of the money. Holdovers was like a big producer success, I feel like. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like it. Poor Things, same way, and also made a lot of money. And then American Fiction is just well liked and feels like producers would really like it because they're getting like
I think
lightly
American
dissed.
Fiction is like closing in on Holdovers gross. Like,
Yeah.
and it's been out, you know, only for like 2 months, whereas Holdovers came out in October. So
Now Oppenheimer could lose SAG, and I would not bat an eye of it winning Best Picture.
it can't lose PGA.
If it loses PGA in some absolutely shocking, unforeseen upset, then I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. That would be my take.
Yeah, I think it'll just be Oppie, and then, but like, you know, like we said, it's like so hard to pinpoint
An
an alternate.
Yeah.
So it's like we both have Barbie here, but we're like, we don't have that in number 2 at the Oscar.
No. Best animated feature, Joyce. This one is getting increasingly tight because Boy and the Heron is winning some key awards. The nominees are Spider-Verse, Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Super Mario Brothers, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I still have Spider-Verse winning here.
Spidey should still win this one because, like, you know, cold hard cash.
If it doesn't,
then like it's losing the Oscar.
Obviously. I still actually think it might lose the Oscar. I'm not
Yeah, like the Oscar
yet.
is still 50-50. It doesn't really matter what happens here.
But if it ever lost here, forget it. Good night, the lights.
Yeah. Like if it lost here, well, I think it would have to lose to Boy and the Heron. Boy and the Heron would have to win.
Yes, but I think that's who it would lose to. I don't think it's going to be these other movies.
Yeah, I don't think the others would win. But if the others won, like if like Elemental won, let's say, like I would go with Spidey for the Oscar.
Here's why I'm leaning towards Boy and the Heron at the Oscars is that in another year, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's not. In another year, there might be other animated movies that people really liked. And I don't think this year is particularly strong. And I think, like, when you have something like Elemental in there, which is not very widely embraced, for instance, then it really ends up just being between Boy and the Heron and Spider-Verse. And I actually think while it maybe would be easier, I just think that's like makes it easier for Boy and the Heron to win because it's really just between those two choices.
Yeah. It is because it's like there's no huge like Disney Pixar juggernaut, right?
There's no huge Disney Pixar juggernaut, and there's no third movie that could be siphoning votes off of from like Boy and the Heron or like, you know what I mean? Like there's not a third choice really. So you're really just between those two. And you might be like, yeah, Boy and the Heron was better.
It's how much do you think like Spidey being the second movie matters?
I think it does.
Not even like the structure of the film, like ending on a cliffhanger, like incomplete film.
I think it does because they know that they could just give it another one in 2 years. Like when the third one comes out, you already know it's going to have like a 99% Rotten Tomato score. Everyone's going to be like doing somersaults about how much they love it. And it's going to be the clear front runner to win animated feature. And there'll be people saying they'll cut and paste the same articles they did this year about it being a Best Picture nominee and like all these different things. And it'll steamroll through and win. And so, like, yeah, I think it matters. I think it matters because there's probably not as much enthusiasm to give it. The second movie is like a little lag, especially when you know a third one is coming so soon.
Is it so soon though?
Well, I mean, like it's coming. I think it was done, but the holdup was like the voice recording, right? Like because of the strike and everything. Like they had a lot of the animation done, I felt like.
Yeah, but like that would still, I mean, like this one kept getting delayed too. Remember, it was supposed to come out
Yeah.
earlier. So uh yeah, I think I don't know, like I think it's very easy to mistake popularity for passion too. Like I think sometimes they go together, but sometimes something can just be very popular but not have the passion. I think that's kind of Barbie, really. Like I think there's like obviously a faction that is very, very passionate about the movie, but if you're talking about like the Oscars in this case, it's like I don't think they're particularly passionate about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas I think something like Oppenheimer, like you do see the popularity and passion go hand in hand. And I don't really know like which is the case for Spider-Verse here. Like we know it's popular because it made a ton of money, and there are definitely people who are passionate about it, right?
Yeah, I think there were people passionate about it.
But like I don't, and but I also know a lot of people who were just like that was fine,
And I
you know.
think if you look at the Letterboxd, not that that's like a thing to look at, there's a lot of like immediate 5-star reviews from people who saw it, and then mostly a lot of people being like, "Hey, it was fine."
Yeah, like a lot of people are angry about the way it ended.
I
You
didn't
know?
mind the ending. I just felt like there are other parts I minded. Like I just didn't love it as much as I liked the first one. And there's not the first one was like, oh my God, it's so different.
Well,
And
yeah,
this
because
felt
it
like
was the
more of the
first one and it
same.
was new,
And
and this
yeah,
is not new.
no. Uh
So, but I don't think like that. I mean, that's for the Oscars. Like here, I think Spidey should still
it should
win.
win. It should win. And we both predicted it. For a documentary, 20 Days of Marupol, American Symphony, Beyond Utopia, Mother of All Lies, The Disappearance of Sheer Height, Smoke, Sauna, Sisterhood, Squaring the Circle, and I have 20 Days of Marupol winning
Yes,
on its way to an Oscar win.
yes,
For drama series, Joyce, Succession, Last of Us, Crown, Morning Show, Diplomat, and I have Succession winning. Twist.
same.
What to say? We just talked all about Succession winning.
Nothing to say, really. So,
For
yeah,
comedy series, Bear, Ted Lasso, Jury Duty, Barry, Only Murders, and I have The Bear.
ditto. So, I
For
don't know.
limited series, uh, Beef, Fargo, Daisy Jones, Lessons in Chemistry, and All the Light We Cannot See, and I have Beef.
Again, ditto.
I have Lessons in Chemistry in second place.
Same. So, again,
For
the same shows.
TV movie, nominees were Reality, Mr. Monk's Last Case, Black Mirror, Quiz Lady, and Red, White, and Royal Blue. And I have Mr. Monk's Last Case, which is an upset according to our odds.
Same. People still predicting reality out here.
Man, I like
I
that
feel like
movie.
that movie's been in our lives for 17 years.
They tried to pivot it to like almost like remember they tried to like kind of pivot it into like I don't even know. It just is not. It should have been a theatrical movie, and then we could have said I could have spent 3 months talking about how Sydney Sweeney deserved the Best Actress nomination.
You would have had her the whole time, and then when we did our final picks, we would have dropped her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For TV variety program, Last Week Tonight, Carol Burnett, Saturday Night Live, Chris Rock, Selective Outrage, and Dave Chappelle, The Dreamer, and I had Last Week Tonight.
Same.
For reality series, RuPaul's Drag Race, Squid Game, The Challenge, Top Chef, Amazing Race, and The Voice, I have RuPaul's Drag Race.
Same.
We're really going down the ship together, Joyce. Nonfiction
I mean, it's
series.
not just us.
No, it's true.
It's everybody.
Nonfiction series, 1619 Project, Welcome to Wrexham, Albert Brooks, Defending My Life, 60 Minutes, and Being Mary Tyler Moore. And I actually have an upset here. I have Welcome to Wrexham winning.
Your fave. I have Albert.
Nice. 1619 Project is first in the odds. Neither one of us have it.
No. So, but
The Albert
Wrexham's
show,
second, isn't it? Yeah.
Welcome to Wrexham is second, Albert's in third. Albert Brooks is Defending My Life is pretty solid. I thought it was okay. You know, it's very funny, Albert Brooks.
Well, that's why they made this. So.
And that's it. That's PGA. So we have one opportunity to get something different. Otherwise, we matched on all our predicts.
This is just like our Critics' Choice predictions.
And then we're gonna do Spirit Awards choice. This is fun because I have not looked at these
since what, December 5th?
Mine was January 8th. So
wow, where's mine? Mine was December 5th. There you go.
These are voted on by who, Joyce?
If you just want to, pay the fee, you could become a voter.
So maybe I'll do. How much is the fee? Do you know?
I don't know. It's like 100 or something.
I can Google it. If it's $100, I'm not paying the fee.
I know a lot of people do it just so they could get the movies. So they get the movies and then they can vote. Yeah, but this is also on Sunday, on the beach.
Love a beach one. Love when I
interviewed. Very lucky. Like another monsoon is not hitting LA.
I interviewed Eric Alexander earlier this year, right after she got nominated here for a Spirit Award, and she told a great story how last year for the Spirit Award she attended and like the Uber dropped her off far away and she had to like walk across the beach. And this year she's a nominee, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, great story."
What a difference a year makes. But she could still be dropped off far away from the beach.
I guess that's true. For Best Picture, Joyce, the nominees are Past Lives, American Fiction, May December, All of Us Strangers, Passages, and We Grown Now. And I have Past Lives winning.
I do too, as of December 5th, and I'll keep it.
I have American Fiction at second. I just feel like based on the people who vote,
people voting,
I think Past Lives is like the film Twitter fave, even more than American Fiction, and I think that will prevail it.
Yeah. I have May, December, and 3rd. I don't know. Maybe what if I just like keep everything I had in December?
You could. Why not?
Yeah.
For Best Director, the nominees are Celine Song, Todd Haynes, Andrew Haig, Ira Sachs, and William Oldroyd. And I have Celine Song winning.
Same.
I have Todd in second.
Same.
For Best Lead Performance, nominees are Greta Lee, Jeffrey Wright, Andrew Scott, Natalie Portman, Tiana Taylor, Teo Yu, Franz Rogowski, Jessica Chastain for your favorite movie, Memory.
Do you remember that?
You remember Memory?
I remember Memory.
I don't. Trace Lysette, Judy Reyes for Birth, Rebirth. Trace Lysette was in Monica. This is a tough one. I have Greta Lee winning, but I really wanted to do Andrew Scott.
I feel like it's not going to be Andrew Scott, even though everyone wants it to be Andrew Scott, because every time someone predicts him, it never happens. Like whether it's for the nomination, like a BAFTA, or a win somewhere, like at like the British Independent Film Awards, it's like it just never happens. So I feel like I should not predict him.
Yeah.
And then if he wins, like congratulations to him. But I don't know. I had Greta in December. Should I keep her?
Sure.
I don't know.
Who else?
There's Jeffrey.
I just don't. Again, thinking about the people who are going to be voting, being very extremely online, I feel like Greta Lee is the choice.
Yeah, but also, how many of them want to, like, foreshadow, or not foreshadow, but like support like Oscar nominees?
I don't think they do. I think they want to show they're right. They're better than the Oscars.
But like, is that true though? I think like that's what we like to think.
I think that is true.
It's like, but I also don't think like American Fiction is not like an anti-film Twitter film.
No, but it's not the film Twitter film. Past Lives is the film Twitter film.
It is. But I think, like it still got these nominations that a lot of people were not expecting.
True.
Like Erica got in, Sterling got in.
That's true.
I mean, there's also Teo.
Yeah, that was part of me gave me pause. Like, I think you could see Greta and Teo split because they're all in the same category. And then maybe Jeffrey would win. But I'm going to stick with Greta.
Um, yeah, I'll just keep her just because I don't like I hate when they have like 10. I just don't want to deal with 10
Yeah.
nominees.
Yep.
I mean, I do the same thing with like, the Oscars. Like I like after 5, I'm just like whatever.
For Best Supporting Performance, and these are gender neutral, like we were saying here, all 10 nominees here. Nominees are Devon Joy Randolph, Charles Melton, Sterling K. Brown, Glenn Howerton, Eric Alexander, Ben Whishaw, Noah Galvin for Theater Camp, Anne Hathaway for Eileen, Marin Ireland for Eileen, and Catalina Saavedra for Rotting in the Sun. And I have Devon Joy Randolph cannot stop winning, and she will win here.
Well, this is going back to what I was saying about the Oscars and them. If they want to just go with the Oscar frontrunner in Davine, or if they want to do their film Twitter fave, Charles Melton.
I think Davine is a film Twitter fave also.
I don't think she is in that same way. I mean, I have her too, but
I don't think she is in the same way as Charles, but I think she's more of a film Twitter fave than Jeffrey Wright.
But I think that's only because she's been winning.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that's why I don't know about that. I think she is because she's like, Jeffrey Wright is somebody who's been around for a million years. Same with Devon Joy Randolph, but there is like an air of new or first time through the award cycle for her.
I mean, technically, this is the first time
I
through
know.
the film award cycle for him too.
But he's not like people know Jeffrey Wright is like an incredible actor.
No, I mean, like Charles is definitely more like film Twitter fave than Davine, but I have Davine because I think this is like they will go with the. Okay, I'll put it this way: if the voting body were more curated, I feel like maybe Davine would not win, or like Oscar nominees might not win, but because it's open to anyone who just wants to pay like $100 to get the screeners and vote. I think that helps someone like her, who is steamrolling the season. Like, I don't think this is the same as last year with Everything Everywhere, because that was just gonna win everything. There's like no question like Ki Kwan was winning this, right?
Breakthrough performance. Nominees are Dominic Sessa, Marshawn Lynch for my favorite movie, Bottoms, Tia Namor, Atiban Nazaire, and Anita Wali Zada. I have Dominic Sessa winning for Holdovers.
Same.
Gonna be psyched to see this because he hasn't really gotten to do any kind of speeches.
No, because no one nominates him.
He just sits there glowering like he's Anakin in Star Wars Episode 3.
Yeah, and then like clapping on the back of a chair.
Love it. This guy rules. I can't wait to see his next movie. I love him
so much.
He's my favorite. Cannot wait for the Strokes biopic where he plays all 4 Strokes.
It's the portrait of the Strokes.
For best screenplay, nominees are Past Lives, American Fiction, The Holdovers, Bottoms, and Birth Rebirth. And I have Past Lives winning, though I really want to put Bottoms in first.
I have Bottoms in fourth.
I think Bottoms could win because it's like a film Twitter fave. And like it would be like a fun win. And if Selena's gonna win for director and it's also gonna win picture, they could be like, let's not give it screenplay or spread the wealth a little more. But I also think they're just gonna give it
I just
don't
think they think like that at all.
I think they're just giving it to Past Lives.
And again, it's just like anyone can vote, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, Past Lives.
Best first feature. Nominees are 1001, All Dirt Roads, Taste of Salt, Earth Mama, Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, and Upon Entry. And I have 1001.
Same.
I have Earth Mama in second.
Earth Mama, BAFTA winner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next, first screenplay. Nominees are May December, Theater Camp, Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, Upon Entry, and The Starling Girl. And I have May December.
Same.
Last speech of the season, perhaps, for Sammy Birch. Be nice. She's nice.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Documentary. These are Four Daughters, Kokomo City, The Mother of All Lies, Going to Mars, The Nikki Giovanni Project, and Bye Bye Tiberius. And I have Kokomo City winning, which is an actual upset according to our odds. This Four Daughters is in first.
I have 4 daughters. I mean, this is
Zigged.
just what I had in December.
Yeah.
So.
International film. Anatomy of Fall, Zone of Interest, Godland Totem, and Mami Wata. I have Anatomy of a Fall winning.
Same.
Cinematography at the Spirit Awards. The nominees are Holdovers, All Dirt Roads, Taste of Salt, Monica, We Grow Now, and Chronicles of a Wandering Saint. And I have All Dirt Roads, Taste of Salt.
I have that too.
Holdovers is in first. I just don't think that's going to happen.
No. I mean, it can, but I don't think so.
No.
I don't know.
For Best Editing, nominees are How to Blow Up a Pipeline, We Grow Now, Theater Camp, Rotting in the Sun, and Upon Entering, I have How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
Same.
And that's it. Those are Spirit Award choice. Where can we watch them this year?
Well, they're also in the afternoon. So, I mean, I don't watch them. So,
I think on YouTube. Last year they were on YouTube.
yeah, they were on YouTube last year, but because they're at 2 Pacific. So it's 5 Eastern.
Wow.
So it's gonna be a long day for some people if they're doing both Spirit Awards and then going to PGA.
Now we're not going to do a show after the PGA. We're going to do it Monday, I believe, right?
Are we?
We could.
Or we're just gonna do our regular.
Maybe we should just do Wednesday.
I don't think we need 17 episodes.
I think we could do Wednesday. So we'll be back. We're not ending here.
We don't need to do that.
We're not ending here. We have a show on. We're going to be back. We're going to do emails here in a minute. But we would not do it after that. But yeah, tune in next week for our PGA recap. Joyce,
we didn't do anything after DGA.
That's true. A lot of emails came in this week, Joyce, at slugfest@goldderby.com. Can't wait to read them. First up is from Emilio. Hola, Joyce and Chris. It's Emilio from Argentina.
Oh, hola.
Hola. I've been predicting awards for the past few years just for fun, but this season I started watching your videos. I love you guys. You're so funny. Sometimes movies take longer to get here, but the only one I haven't watched yet is Zone of Interest. Great season, by the way. I would agree. These movies are great, even though we're at the point where everybody hates everything. Love movies. Movies are great. So after Emma won the BAFTA award, film Twitter went crazy and started with the lame argument of whether it is necessary for her to win her second Oscar so young. I'm so tired of that pathetic speech. I think it's about deserving an award, not needing it. That being said, do you think this could affect Emma's chances of winning? I don't think so, and honestly, I hope not. Her performance was stunning, although I love Sandra too. Thanks for reading. P.S. I've had American Fiction winning adapted screenplay since the nominations came out. Now everyone is putting it as their top choice. I feel the same way as Joyce. LOL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, BAFTA fucking us over, Emilio. This is exactly what BAFTA did when I had Jesse Plemons like way back in December. No one else did. And then they nominated him, and I was like, fuck. Everyone's gonna predict him. And they did, and he got in. So just BAFTA always stealing my valor. So I can't have American Fiction.
Well, now we all have a choice. It's great. I can't wait to get it right.
No.
I can't wait to get it right.
No, this was me. This was me and Emilio. It was number 3.
We got a lot of emails about this that we'll be reading next.
About what? American Fiction or Emma Stone?
About Emma and Lily. That was a popular topic this week. I do think, let's just focus on this part of it where, in terms of Amelia saying how people are mad that she's going to win a second Oscar so young.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that Sunday night, like, because like the discourse had already obviously happened by then. You know, I mean, it happened immediately after she won. So if he's asking in terms of if this quote unquote backlash is going to matter, absolutely not. No one gives a shit. No like voter is paying attention to this shit.
I think it's yeah. I think the tough part about the backlash is that it's not like and Green Book ended up winning, but you know what I mean. It's not like a Green Book. It's not like a bad like Emma's great in the movie, and everyone kind of
they just
agrees.
don't want her to win. Like these people, they prefer in
Yes.
this case Lily
Yes.
winning.
It's not a movie that people widely dislike, and it's not a performance that anybody thinks is bad, and I think that is hurting the reach of the backlash so far, is that people are like, yeah, Emma Stone is great, and also we really like her, and like everyone, and she's like, everyone seems to like Emma Stone, and so it's hard to like neg her in those fashions where it's not like she's not an easy villain, you know.
No, and then that argument is I always hate that argument about like so and so doesn't need another Oscar. Listen, no one needs an Oscar, whether it's first, second, fifth, 10th. Like no one needs an award. An award is not a right, it's a privilege.
Wow.
So like they can't, like the thing is like they're not really like going out to win the award themselves, you know what I mean? Like it's not like sports where they have to perform on the day and cross the finish line first or score the most points, right? Or even just run out the clock,
Mm-hmm.
right? And hope you hang on. It's like they're depending on other people voting for them.
Right.
So it's like they can't like do anything. Like it's not like it's out of their power, like whether they win or not. Like you're sure they can campaign and like do Q&As and meet people and shake hands and kiss babies, but like they already did the work when they performed in the film, right? It's like they can't promise anything, like because even politicians, like you vote for someone on the promise of something that they'll do something for you once
Mm-hmm.
they're in office, right? Like actors, like they're not promising you anything, right?
They already promised it, right? They
Like they
already
already
did it.
gave you the work, right? And
Right.
then you're just voting for your favorite.
Right.
So it's just, and I just don't think like voters, like they don't care who's won before or not. And even in like the past decade, we've had so many repeat winners, right? It's like it's the same thing with like Frances McDormand with Nomadland. It was like, oh, she just won her second. There's no way they're gonna give her a third. And like they don't care, you know? And it's like Emma is also older than Hilary Swank was when she won her second Oscar, and she's older than Jodie Foster was when she won her second Oscar.
People don't realize that, I don't think.
Because like those people are older than her in real life, or they weren't around back then. I think those people
Probably
won. It's
both.
like,
Um,
you know. So I mean, it's just like a thing that's happening online, and online is not real life.
yeah.
So, and like I understand like if your favorite is not winning, it's tough to deal with because you like I think people also have like a parasocial relationship with awards season.
Yeah, you think?
You know, it's like it's not the same as like a parasocial relationship with a celebrity, you know, like your favorite actor or actress or musician. It's like it's like every season it's like you latch on like you to a movie or like some candidate or just like a narrative or even a person, but that person might not even be your favorite actor. It's just like for this season, this is your fave.
Yeah.
And then you just can't extricate yourself from it when things aren't going your way for your fave.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I get it, but I don't think like this is gonna affect her at all. So
I don't either. This one is from David R., who you might remember as Grammar David Joyce.
yes.
Emailed us at slugfest@goldderby.com. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I'm starting to think David L. might be a burner account for Rex Reed.
Wow.
My final question, wink. Chris, during your BAFTA wrap-up, you mentioned the potential backlash if Lily isn't awarded the Oscar. I'd like to delve deeper into this topic. It's clear that Emma and Lily are deserving of the award, which is important to acknowledge. That said, this year presents a significant chance for the Academy to honor an Indigenous American with an Oscar, a history-making milestone that should not be overlooked. I like to imagine Lily winning and in her speech paying tribute to Sasheen Littlefeather, reflecting on the repulsive way she was treated at the 1973 Oscars. People can Google it. While I don't want to rehash the debate over the importance of narratives, I find myself conflicted. On the one hand, awarding Emma her second Oscar might be seen as overlooking a historic opportunity. On the other hand, it could also be viewed as commendable for voters to prioritize their genuine preference and passion for performance over the allure of making history. Thoughts, David R., aka Grammar David.
I think that is a nice thought, and I think that is also something like people predicting all season long have used. Like this would be like a nice moment. It's the dubious anniversary of this event.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I just don't think voters think that way or even aware.
I think they think that way. I don't know. I think you could argue that the Academy, especially like in recent times, has been very cognizant of what they're having win Best Picture, what it says, right? What does it say? What is the industry saying should be the Best Picture, right? But I don't know if it actually translates into performance. And I don't think they vote. I do think they vote for what they like. And while the narrative is great and the moment would make great television, if that was the case, Chadwick Boseman would have won Best Actor. You know what I mean? Like if it's like that is the ultimate TV moment. That so much so that Steven Soderbergh bet his whole time on the fact that it would be the TV.
But alas, would not let Anthony Hopkins zoom in.
So like, just a really that was, you know what I mean? Like that was like, I don't know. So I think I agree with David. Like they are both great performances. I think they're both different, very different performances. I don't even know what my personal preference would be, honestly. I think Emma's really great in Poor Things, but I've definitely thought more about what Lily does in Flower Moon. So I might actually say my preference would maybe be Lily, though it's really, really close.
Well, if you were voting.
If I was voting, I might vote Lily. Or I might vote Sandra because I think she's maybe better than both of them. You know what I mean? Like I don't actually think...
like I would be between Emma and Sandra because those were like my two faves.
And
the year. But like Lily's really great too, but I just
like
prefer those two to
like
her.
Lily's really great, and all the negatives I would have for it, which are like we've talked about, that the movie isn't really up, even though like Thelma, I saw somebody tweeting like Thelma Schoonmaker said like she's the heart of the movie. I'm like, yeah, but she's not the lead. Maybe she might be the heart, but I don't know if I'd argue that she's the lead. But all that stuff is like kind of water under the bridge because she is nominated in lead. So it's like it's the perform. I'm just like you're just really voting on the performance. Then it doesn't really matter the screen time necessarily or anything. It's like she's great in her performance, whether it's the lead or not. So I don't know. It's very difficult for me to figure out who I would vote for. That said, I don't think you would just vote based on narrative.
No, and again, it's insulting to her if anyone were to vote purely because of that, just to for her to carry out this moment that you're envisioning in your head.
Right. The collective you, not...
Yeah. So, I mean, I would hope anyone voting for her is voting for her because she gave their favorite performance of the year.
Yeah.
Not for anything else. So
I don't know what my personal... We could do that. I guess we could do that maybe next week before we do our final picks, personal preferences. But I'm like, it is interesting to think about. Like, I'm like, I don't think mine would necessarily be all these. Like, my actor would probably be Jeffrey Wright. No disrespect to Killian.
My actor top two would be Killian and Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the others. They're good, but I'm like...
And I would say like Sandra and Lily probably for me, top two. And then Downey and De Niro, Downey and Gosling would definitely be my top two, I think. I might go Gosling, personally.
You love Gosling.
I thought it was just one of the great performances of all time.
You can't abandon him.
And then supporting actress, I mean,
I really like Jodie.
I mean, Jodie might be my favorite too.
But I don't know.
None of my real faves are in that category. That's the problem.
No, it's like if you're giving me like these options,
it would probably be Jodie and Divine.
I have to like adjust.
Yeah.
You know. So
interesting to think about. This one's from our old pal Justin. Hi there, Joyce and Chris. I've written before about directors in 2017 being the same high school class and being the same high school class as Joyce. I don't remember that, but there you go. 2 questions and a comment. If you want to skip one, skip the first one. I'm not skipping any of them, Justin. We're going down the ship. So do we think ultimately that we're finding out that the quote backlash is basically canceled out by the anti-backlash read Barbie? Or are we finding out that neither mattered? And if it does win SAG Ensemble, will people decide, oh, it's winning Best Picture, even though it's not? What do you think about that?
Um, I mean, if it wins ensemble, I don't know if people will think it's winning Best Picture, but I think it will make a lot of people feel good about predicting it in more categories, like other than song.
I think that's true, but I think if it wins Ensemble, it would go down with
It's like Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures, Chicago 7, Black Panther,
Yeah.
in that group, to me.
Yeah.
American Hustle, you know what I mean? The Help, like that's kind of like where it is.
Yeah.
Um, so even me, who would count it as like his second favorite movie of the year, not gonna say it's gonna win Best Picture. So
No. And then like the backlash to the backlash, I mean,
I think what we talked about this. I think what we've learned in hindsight when you get to see the season at this point versus where we were like early year is that the industry respected the movie, loved that it made a lot of money, and was not super enthusiastic about rewarding it in a lot of other ways.
yeah. It's like Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, yeah, I think like a lot of people do love the movie, but I don't know, like it's also a tough year, but I don't even know in a weaker year if it would do that much better.
Yeah.
So, it's I think it's just like a fun summer blockbuster. And yeah, it has, some deeper messaging than your average summer blockbuster, but
I think
yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's been a lot of like hand-wringing obviously over the last few years about like the fact that the Academy is not rewarding movies people see in the theater, right? Or see, right? Like that's always been like a kind of thing that people harp on. But I'm like, I actually think what we've seen as they've grown and diversified the membership is that it's much easier for these big movies to actually make it in, whether or not they're going to win. You know, like Top Gun and Barbie probably 20 years ago were never going to get nominated for Best Picture, I would argue.
In a field of five.
In a field of five, no way. I don't think, personally.
No, and
And it's good
yeah,
that they were nominated. You know
and
what I
then,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
and I think it's like the expectation of like you wanting it to win something. I mean, I don't even think a lot of people wanted Best or Top Gun to win Best Picture, right? But it was
just
just like,
me. Just
yeah,
me.
just you. But like everyone wanted Everything Everywhere to win.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, but I think it's. I mean, I guess they could kind of be like The Fugitive, like
Yeah.
that was a
Maybe.
surprise
Maybe.
back then. But I don't
Next
know.
question from Justin. If American Fiction wins, this will be the second time Greta Gerwig has lost a screenplay award to a black writer satirizing racism after Get Out. It has nothing to do with her. It's just a funny random thing happening twice, given those would be the only two screenplays to win with that subject matter. Similar random trend when Will Smith is nominated for Best Actor, a black actor usually wins. Denzel Washington, Forest Whitaker, and Will Smith. What are your favorite kind of random Oscar trivia facts? I have no answer for this one, but do you, Amy Joyce?
I mean, she also lost, like Little Woman also lost to Jojo Rabbit, which is like another satire. So
So basically, Greta Gerwig needs to write a satire, and then maybe she could win an Oscar.
yeah, and she also needs to compete in weaker years because she always every year, every time she has a movie out, is a very tough year.
I we said that for a while. I do in a softer year, I do think she would have gotten in for director, but I'm not
I
sure
don't
she
think she
would
would
have
have won,
won. She
no.
would have not won
But like if we're
even.
just talking about
Yeah,
screenplay,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then last one. This one's about baseball, Joyce. That's why I'm going to read it. Talking a big game about how bad the Yankees are. I agree about Boone. But honestly, it's better when we're both good. I went to the 2000 World Series, Subway Series, game one, 13 inning. It was the best experience of my life. Love your work, Justin. Joyce, I went to game three of the Subway Series. Actually, no,
My
game four. Excuse me.
have I said this already? But like my dad had tickets to the Subway series and he didn't go.
Good for your dad. Don't want to
Yeah.
think. Less we can think about that, the better.
Yeah. He was like, it's not happening. Like, I'm just gonna watch at home.
I will say this based on just a brief look at Twitter. and like my algorithm is very pro like baseball, obviously. I think a lot of people are overrating the Yankees, who are just trash,
I mean, we talked about this last week, so
and are very underrating the Mets, who I think could be a lot better than people think and be a
yeah, but
wild
they're not
card
going to
team.
win.
No, but they could be wild. I think they'll make. I actually think the Mets will make the playoffs. That's
They
my big.
can.
That's my
They'll
big bet.
do what they did like 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
Like
I
they'll
don't
like
think they're.
fuck it up at the end.
I don't think they're going to win like a World Series with this team,
Yeah.
but I do think they'll make the playoffs. The vibes are really good so far. That's all I'll say. Next up, this is from Mike, who's emailed us before. Chris and Joyce, I love all the slugfest you do. I'm not on the Oppenheimer bandwagon though. When I saw it, I liked it and rated it an 8 on IMDb. But I think all the awards buzz
That's
is not
pretty high.
But
Yeah.
I think all the awards buzz is not justified. After SAG and PGA this weekend, I might change my mind and eat crow. I think Paul Giamatti needs to win SAG to have a chance at the Oscars. Same for Lily Gladstone. I'm going out on a limb for SAG Ensemble and going with American Fiction. I also see this or The Holdovers as the best picture upset. I haven't seen Poor Things yet, but I feel Emma will prevail. Excuse me. The supporting categories are locked in with RDJ and Devon Joy Randolph. If American Fiction wins SAG, do you consider it like 2 years ago with Coda, and will it be an upset? This year reminds me of 2 years ago with The Power of the Dog, and we know how that went. We kind of talked about this. I would say no.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think by that point, like Coda had established itself as the number two, and it won SAG and PGA,
Yeah.
right?
Like we said, I think even I mean I think whatever wins SAG that's not Oppenheimer is much more like Chicago 7 Hidden Figures style.
Yeah, and it would also like Oppenheimer, but also need to lose, but lose to the same movie that wins SAG.
Right. I just don't see that happening.
So yeah, but no, and I don't know. Is he also saying he's just anti-dicting Oppenheimer because he
Pretty
doesn't want
much.
it to win,
Yeah.
even though he gave it an 8, which is a pretty high score?
Is it a high score on IMDb though? Maybe it's like
I don't
that's
know. I
bad.
don't.
I
It's
don't read
like
IMDb boards.
they don't even have boards anymore. They
I
got
don't
rid of
know.
those, didn't
That's how
they?
little I know about IMDb, Joyce.
It's way too toxic over there.
This one's from Jason, kind of addressing something we talked about an hour ago, probably. SAG Best Actress surprise. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Love the show. Do you think there's any chance of a SAG surprise in Best Actress, either with Margot Robbie being in the most seen of the nominated movies and after her Oscar snub, or with Annette Bening being a highly respected veteran who is long overdue for an Oscar?
Well, we both have Annette in third.
What if Annette? I'm not going to do this, but I'm like kind of talking myself into thinking she'll win.
SAG, you
Yes,
mean?
yes, SAG, yes.
I feel like if the race were more like 3 years ago when Viola Davis won SAG, it would be possible.
Yeah,
But I think it's kind of harder here.
it's just too top heavy.
Yeah. So like she needs like a weaker, she needs like the feel that Julianne Moore had, and she also just raced through the season.
Or Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. So
Maybe
uh
next time in it.
yeah, but then like Margot, yeah, like we both have her in fourth, and I understand the argument. I don't know. I think it kind of goes back to the Oscars with her too, and her missing is like, would is that actually your favorite performance of the year, or you think it's the best performance of the year? Like we know she missed because she couldn't get enough number ones, and she got the SAG nomination because it's just most appearances on ballots, which benefits her. It's
Right.
not about number ones at SAG. But now when push comes to shove and you can only pick one winner, like would you actually pick her as your winner this year in
I don't think so.
Best Actress? So, and I don't know, like I don't think like the backlash and stuff matters that much. Like it's just a huge body.
Yeah.
So many people. So
This one's from JR. Emailed us at slugfestivalderby.com. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I'm sure you saw the news about Sam Mendes' 4 Beatles films.
of course.
Who do you think should play them? And while this is obviously jumping the gun, I have to ask, how do you think it would go down at the Oscars, which each of them having their own film, but being supporting players in the other films? That's crazy. That's a crazy thought.
I was talking about this with someone yesterday because it's like, yes, like they would be the leads in their own films and supporting in the other ones, and assuming they all come out in the same year in 2027, then so like best actor could be 4 Beatles, and then you have one slot, which will probably be like Bradley Cooper on his 18th nomination, you know. And then like supporting could be all of them, like 2 for like each other's films, and then like one slot. Maybe also for Bradley Cooper.
So if you didn't see, Sam Mendes is directing 4 Beatles movies about each of the Beatles with the help of the Beatles. So it'll have the music and like their estates rights, and it's like a whole big thing.
Yeah.
That's fully endorsed. And he's going to direct them all, and they're all supposed to come out in 2027. And I think we have the 2028.
They're each from the perspective of a Beatle,
yes.
and then so they'll like interconnect.
So immediately, the first thing I would say is I know for a fact we have one nominee for the 2028 casting Oscar, is this Beatles franchise.
This will also be the 100th ceremony.
So who would play the Beatles? I was thinking
there were
about
a lot
this.
of dream casting yesterday.
Okay, so Anthony Boyle definitely being cast.
Anthony Boyle can play any of them.
He might play all of them, but I actually think he should play Paul.
He would be a good Paul.
I think he looks like Paul. I think he could play Paul.
Yeah, he could play. Actually, you know what? Any of the actors in Hunks in the Air, aka Masters of the Air, save for Austin Butler, could be in this movie.
Well, I cast 3 of them, Joyce, in my head.
Yeah, like Barry Keoghan. Like
as
I know
Ringo.
Variety. Yeah, Variety already had Barry as Ringo, and I was like, I see the vision.
I could actually see that. He looks like him. Put a beard on him.
Totally also, fine. The Ringo movie is obviously going to be the best one.
The Ringo movie, I saw somebody tweet this. It's going to be like when Kenneth saw everybody as
Yes, I saw that too. I was like, that's very accurate. Yeah, it'll also be the shortest one. It'll just be a blast. It'll be great.
And then for George, I think Callum Turner would actually make a good George. He looks like him too.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture him with the hair.
I think he could do it. And then I don't know who would play John.
John is tough. It can't be Austin if we're doing Hunks in the Air actors.
No.
I
saw people saying like Jacob Elordi, but he's just too tall. You can't cast Jacob Elordi in a Beatles movie. He's way too tall.
No. Also, both of them have been Elvis. Could you imagine playing Elvis in a Beatle?
No. You go unknown for John?
I think you can. I feel like you can go unknown for both John and Paul, right? And maybe name for George and Ringo.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. I can see that happening. Like, and also like that would be another notch on the belt for casting, right? Like you cast an unknown. It'll be like Rachel Zegler style, you know?
Can't wait to see this.
Well, it'll win Best Picture at the 100th Oscars.
Which one will win Best Picture?
It should be the Ringo one, obviously, but it won't. Ringo should win, but it won't.
How did are the Oscars going to have to come up with some cockamamie rule to fix this so they don't get like 4 Best Picture nominations?
Well, I mean,
assuming they're actually good.
But like, so in directing, you could be nominated against yourself. So Sam could get 4 nominations.
But my sense from, tell me if you agree with this. My sense is that people are not incredibly high on these movies existing.
No.
So we might not have to worry about it.
I mean, it's definitely one of those things. It's like we'll see how this goes, you know, and you know, a lot of also like this should just be a miniseries if this is the concept.
I like Sam Mendes mostly. I think he's made good movies.
Remember
Empire of Light to come out.
Yeah, Empire of Light, your favorite movie?
When is that coming out?
It came out, as we discussed a couple months ago, on December 9th, 2022. I can't believe you missed it.
Remember.
Yeah.
This one is from Chris. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Have you seen Dune yet? It feels like everyone is falling all over themselves to praise it, and a lot of tweets are comparing it in size and scope to The Lord of the Rings. In terms of pop culture, that feels like a stretch at this point. Am I crazy? Joyce, I saw Dune Part 2 yesterday.
And?
Great movie.
My friend has not committed to it yet, but it's my friend who wanted me to take him to see Top Gun Maverick.
Ah, sure.
So his birthday is this month. So
Uh,
he's thinking about making me take him to see it, but he has not committed to it yet. So I have not seen it yet because of this. And it's not a movie I want to see again. So
I'm already seeing it again because I didn't get to see
I
it
know
in
you are.
IMAX. I didn't get to see it in
You would see it
IMAX.
again.
Got to see it in IMAX. I don't know. I think there's still an embargo up, so like don't want to like go too far into it. Plus, I'm sure we'll
It's a
talk.
review embargo.
Sure, we'll talk about this when we do our like early Oscar picks after the Oscars. Not as good to me as the first Dune, which I think is like one of the great movies
Which
the
is
last
the
like.
complete opposite of all the film Twitter.
Having rewatched Dune this week and then watched part 2, I would say Dune part 1 is like, again, to me, one of like the great movies of the last like 20 years. And Dune part 2 is just great. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I enjoyed a lot of it. It's really good. I think it would have been really interesting this year if it came out as planned, because in the crafts categories, I would have loved to see it like fight off Oppenheimer. I think that would have been like absolutely crazy because it very much would deserve many Oscars again in those below the line categories. But yeah, I don't know if it would get, like we had talked about it, we were doing our picks. Like I think we probably talked about it as a Best Picture nominee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll still talk about it as a potential Best Picture nominee, I guess. So
didn't I think I dropped it before they moved it.
You did.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have dropped it, and I don't think I will going forward, but we'll see. It
Well,
is
I mean,
great though.
this year, the 2024 season, I don't know if it'll be as jam-packed as last year.
Seems
So
like
I think
no.
it's pretty safe for a Best Picture nomination.
I will say I've seen like people like compare it to like, I mean, the
There's
size
been
and
a lot of
scope.
Lord of the Rings
It is
comps.
pretty. No, the scope is I mean, it's a massive movie. There's like so many
I mean,
crazy
no one
scenes.
is denying that. So.
I don't think it's like, I don't know. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. I like Lord of the Rings too. So I don't know. I don't think it's like, I think they're like on the same level to me, I guess. But I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings like devotee. Dune is just awesome. Timothée Chalamet is great. Austin Butler is doing his thing. My favorite was Javier Bardem though.
I've seen some ink for him, but not as much.
He's so good. And there's so many scenes with him and Josh Brolin together. And I'm just like, man, this
they're
rules.
besties.
This is rules.
They're besties.
And last question. This one is from Lily. Hi, Joyce and Chris. We've reached the end of the line for Succession's awards run. It's Matthew versus Kieran at SAG. Who's coming out on top? Well, we both have Kieran, Joyce, but what if Matthew wins?
I mean, that'd be great. So
any chance? Probably not.
I think it'll just be Kieran, because as we've talked about, like with the Emmys, like it was just, season 4 was Kieran's season, like how season 3 was Matthew's season. And so I mean, it's not impossible because Matthew beat Kieran for the Emmy then.
Right.
So he can definitely beat him again. But I think it'll just be Kieran. Like he swept last month. It's kind of crazy how, like, because like of the Emmys being postponed until January, we had so much stuff last month with them, and just like TV in general, and then like it's been on a break for a whole month.
Yep.
And now it's back. But he won everything last month when a lot of people thought he would lose to like Pedro, or someone.
Right.
And Matthew didn't even win everything because he lost Critics' Choice, remember?
Right.
So I think it'll just be Kieran. But you know what? They'll both add another ensemble award to their trophy case.
Can't wait. So Joyce, we'll be back then on Saturday to talk about all that. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. And I'll see you then, Joyce, I guess. That's it.